My name's Leela, I'm a nurse and I've been living on a boat for, I think it's like 2.5 years. Tom's been on here for about 6 months before I moved on. So Tom decided to buy a boat. He has lived on a boat previously, but he was in rented accommodation, and just financially it was the only way that he could afford to buy something that was his own, that he wasn't going to pay rent for every month. So yeah, he bought the boat, and then I moved on about 6 months later. Our typical day-to-day life on the boat, I guess, just sort of the same as everyone else. We've both got regular jobs. Tom works Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I do shift work, so I do days, nights, so I'm a bit more all over the place. But yeah, at the weekends we have to move the boat, so we'll get up, move the boat to the next area that we need to be at. Winter on the boat can get cold, but our fires, just basically our godsend really, keeps us really warm. I think with the fire it's probably warmer than most houses that I've been in at winter. We use coal and wood on the fire. It can be a bit expensive, but because Tom's a gardener, he gets most of the wood for free, especially this year, so we've been quite lucky. We just need to buy coal really. We've got Wi-Fi on the boat. We just buy a Wi-Fi box, so you basically just pay monthly, I guess, like you would do in a house. It does depend on where we are on the canal. Sometimes signal isn't great, but most places it's fine. Yeah, it's just the same as it would be in a house. Post can be a bit tricky, so anything really important like bank stuff or driver's license, it all goes to my mum's. Same with Tom, he does all important stuff to his parents. Other stuff, we do use people's houses from time to time, but stuff from Amazon and eBay you can just use shops or hub lockers. Takeaways, we just go and collect it. But yeah, you can't really get stuff delivered to the boat, but it's not really an issue.
How do you maintain the boat? Like if there's a leak, how do you take it out of the water?
So you have to take it to a dry dock, and they normally have a dock that you go into, drain the water, and then anything you need to do, you do from underneath the boat. So yeah, if you have to redo the bottom, like you have to black it every few years, you take it out in a dry dock. On the boat, we've got a tank that we fill up at every water point, so it's 1,000 litres. I would say if you're careful, probably lasts about a month, but you do have to be mindful about water, so I don't leave the tap running if I'm washing up. If we're running low and I'm having a shower, I'll turn the tap off in between, sort of like conditioning my hair. But I think that's good. I think it just makes you more mindful about not wasting water, which I think if I now lived in a house, I would probably still do, just because if you don't need to waste it, then why bother? There's lots of different licenses for the boat. We've got continuous cruisers, so it's a 12-month license. You have to move every 2 weeks. They are fairly strict about it, so you have to move within a certain, basically like to the next area or in the next village every 2 weeks, and you have to do 20 miles in a year. So we do a loop, we do like 10 miles one way, 10 miles another way, and they're happy with that as long as you cover about 20 miles in a year. If you've got permanent mooring, obviously that's different, you pay rent and you stay there, but because of the type of licence we've got, and it is one of the cheaper licences, I guess the clause is that you have to move every 2 weeks, which I quite like in a way, because you get to see different places, and if you don't like who you're next to, you can just move on. But I just like the lifestyle. I like being outside, I like being near all the animals. Spring's really nice because you've got all the ducklings and the baby swans and the lambs. Yeah, it's just really cute, really nice. Boating community, I guess because we move every 2 weeks, you don't really get to know people that well. You sort of see people along the way that you've seen like a few months ago, and yeah, we know a couple of people along the canal, but yeah, I guess as a community, because everyone's moving at different times and their 2 weeks are changing at a different time to your 2 weeks, you're not always in the same place at the same time. So it's not like everybody knows each other on the waterway or anything. The engines run on diesel, so we fill it up, I guess maybe like just under a year or something, and during COVID, obviously we weren't moving around as much, it was a lot cheaper. But now we've got solar, we're not having to run the engine so much during the day because all of our power comes from solar, whereas before we were having to turn the engine on just to get like electricity or power. But yeah, we fill it up every year, it's about 800 quid, which I guess isn't that much really. So the boating licence covers you for, I think, most waterways in the country. I think there's certain rivers you can't go on to without a certain licence, but you can go on all the main waterways. The only issue is this boat's a wide beam, so there's branches of this canal that we can't go down. But this main canal, the Grand Union, you can just, you can go all the way down it, and it's the same across the country. When I first moved onto the boat, walking down the canal really late at night, when there was no other boats around, no other cars, no houses, it was a bit scary. But I think I've just got used to it and I feel really safe. I think I definitely felt more unsafe in London at 2 o'clock in the morning than I do walking down the canal at 2 o'clock in the morning. You do sort of get a little bit spooked sometimes, but I think that's just yourself, isn't it? Making yourself more scared from hearing animals in the bushes. I don't really think I miss anything from living in a conventional house. I guess space is the only thing, but we're quite lucky, we're on a wide beam, it's quite big. I guess just that separation you've got. If I'm studying, Tom's wanting to do something else, and we can't really be that noisy around each other if I'm working, but we make it work. And especially in the summer, like, there's lots of stuff to do outside, so yeah, it's not really an issue. I don't think we've got any plans to live on land. To be honest, I think I'd really miss it if we didn't live on the boat. So yeah, boat it is for now.